All right, getting a little dark today. Ready?
Oh, phew. Sounds intriguing.
We're diving into the signs of a truly evil person. You know, that just sends shivers down your spine.
Yeah.
And you just wonder, is there something fundamentally wrong with them?
It is fascinating, isn't it? Because, on the surface, they seem totally normal.
Right.
Maybe even charming. But underneath,
Oh, yeah.
there's this really disturbing psychology.
Just like they're wearing a mask, right?
Yeah.
Concealing their true nature.
Yeah.
So how do we kind of see past that and spot those warning signs?
Well, one of the big ones, and this is going to sound kind of counterintuitive,
Okay.
is how they react to other people's failures.
Hmm.
Instead of empathy or concern, there's this weird sense of satisfaction, almost like they're enjoying it.
So you're saying they like to watch people struggle?
Yeah, it speaks to a deep lack of empathy, which is like a cornerstone of what we might call an evil personality. They just can't connect with other people's pain.
So no twinge of guilt when they see someone going through a hard time?
Not really. In fact, they might even try to sabotage them, especially if they see them as a threat.
Oh, okay. So it's getting kind of dark now.
Yeah,
This is like they're playing this game where someone else's loss is their gain.
exactly. And that leads into another sign: entitlement. They think they deserve the best of everything, and they'll do whatever it takes to get it.
So it's not just about winning, it's about making sure everyone else loses.
Yeah, they operate from this scarcity mindset, like there's only so much success to go around.
Okay, so no empathy, they feel entitled, and they're willing to sabotage others. What else?
They're lying, and I don't mean little white lies. I'm talking pathological lying. Deception's a tool for them.
So we're talking making up stories, exaggerating, twisting the truth.
Absolutely. And the scary part is they often believe their own lies.
Wow. That's a whole other level, like they're living in a different reality.
Exactly. And that ties into their need to project this image of perfection. They're terrified of seeming flawed, so they build this facade.
So it's all about maintaining a perfect image, even if it's fake.
Exactly. And that fear of exposure drives them. They're always trying to control how people see them, hence the charm.
It's like they're always putting on a show, tailoring it for each audience.
Exactly. Masters of impression management.
Okay, so we're seeing a pattern. No empathy, entitlement, lying, and this need to appear perfect.
And it all comes out in their relationships, personal and professional. They leave a trail of destruction.
So how do we protect ourselves from these people? They're like masters of disguise.
You're right, it's tough. But the more we understand them, the better equipped we are.
All right, so we started peeling back the layers of this complex personality, but there's still so much more to explore. We'll be back in part 2 to delve deeper into the world of evil and learn more about how to safeguard ourselves from its influence. Back again for more on this deep dive into evil. We left off trying to figure out how to protect ourselves from these master manipulators.
It's tough, right? They're like chameleons, blending in, adapting.
Exactly. So how do we even start to recognize them when they can be so charming?
One thing, and I know it's easier said than done, but pay attention to inconsistencies. Does their behavior match their words?
Yeah.
Do their actions line up with what they say they believe?
Okay.
Evil people build these personas, but there are always cracks.
Like looking for glitches in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Those little moments where the truth slips out.
Exactly. And trust your gut. We all have that feeling sometimes, like something's just off, even if we can't explain it.
Oh, I've totally been there. You meet someone new and just feel uneasy, like a little voice saying, be careful.
Right. But it's hard to trust that feeling sometimes, especially when the person seems so great on the surface.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a balance, but learning to trust that intuition is key when you're dealing with people who could be toxic. Another thing, manipulation. It's how evil works. They're experts at using people's weaknesses to get what they want.
So it's not just about being charming, it's about being charming to control people.
Exactly. Guilt trips, playing the victim, flattery, making you feel obligated, all tools in their belt.
Okay, so watch out for the ones who are maybe a little too charming, a little too good to be true. But what about the ones who aren't so subtle, who are just aggressive?
That's an interesting point. Some are, but some are much sneakier. They use passive aggression, gossip, subtle put-downs, undermining you without being obvious.
So not a big attack, but more like death by 1,000 paper cuts, slowly chipping away at your confidence.
Exactly. And because it's less obvious, it can be even worse. You don't even realize what's happening until it's too late.
Like a poison, seeping into your mind without you knowing.
That's a great way to put it. It shows how important awareness is. The more we understand these different forms of evil, the better we can protect ourselves.
Okay, so inconsistencies, trusting our gut, watching for manipulation, and being aware of aggression, both the obvious kind and the sneaky kind. Anything else?
A big one is broken relationships. People who might be considered evil tend to leave a trail of them. Failed friendships, messy romances, family issues. It's a pattern.
So not just one or two bad breakups, but a history of it.
Exactly. And they'll usually blame everyone else for it, never taking responsibility.
Always the victim, huh?
Exactly. They're great at twisting things around. Another manipulation tactic.
We've covered a lot. Signs, tactics, intuition. But what if we meet someone like this? What do we do? Like, what if it's a coworker or someone we can't avoid?
Boundaries. That's when they become crucial. You have to set limits.
So basically, draw a line and say, this is where my tolerance ends.
Exactly. Protect yourself emotionally and physically. Limit contact, refuse to engage, or even walk away entirely if you have to.
This has been eye-opening. It's like you've given us a way to decode the language of evil. But I feel like there's more, right?
There is. In part 3, we'll zoom out a bit. We'll look at how these patterns play out on a bigger scale in society, and we'll talk about what we can do about it.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So we've been on this journey exploring the signs of an evil person, how they act, how they manipulate.
Unmasking their tactics, learning to trust those gut feelings, setting boundaries.
Yeah. But does this darkness just exist in individuals? Or can it become something bigger?
That's where it gets really fascinating. Because these same things we see in individuals, they can show up in groups, institutions, even whole societies.
So these red flags we've been talking about, lack of empathy, wanting power, all the manipulation, it can all play out on a much bigger scale.
Oh, absolutely. Think about some of the darkest moments in history. Totalitarian regimes, cults, corrupt corporations, they all have these same toxic traits, just magnified.
It's like a virus or something.
Right.
Spreading and infecting everything.
A perfect analogy. It's like a virus because it thrives on weaknesses, Fear, ignorance, that longing to belong.
So what can we even do about it? If it can get that big, that widespread, do our individual choices even matter?
That's the question, right? It's easy to feel powerless when you're up against something so huge. But I do believe individual choices matter, maybe now more than ever.
Okay, I'm listening. Where do we even begin?
First thing, fight that urge to just tune it all out.
Right.
It's easy to just shut down when the world seems so full of bad stuff, but that just lets it grow.
So stay informed, stay engaged, even stay angry when you need to.
Exactly. And think critically, question everything, especially those stories that seem like they're meant to divide us or make us afraid.
Yeah, because if we just accept everything we hear, especially these days, we become easy to manipulate.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to speak up against things that are wrong, even if it feels like a tiny act. It matters.
Like that saying, right? The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
There you go. Every little act of resistance can ripple outwards. Support those groups, fighting for what's right. Encourage empathy and understanding in your own little corner of the world. It all adds up.
It's like building up our immune system, right? Personally and as a society, so we can resist this spread.
Love that. That's what it's all about. Strengthening our defenses against evil inside and out.
This deep dive has been, well, intense, but so insightful. We went from spotting evil in a person to seeing how it plays out on a global level.
And we talked about how to resist it, how to protect ourselves, but also how to actively do good.
Yeah, it's been like a journey from darkness to light. We have to remember, even though evil exists, we get to choose hope. We choose compassion. We choose action. And those choices matter.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep fighting the good fight.
The deepest dives lead to the most amazing discoveries. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.